One team will make history in the Division II Men's Lacrosse National Championship game on NCAA.com as the St. Leo Lions, located just outside of Tampa, Florida, have reached their first ever final. They are here at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, against the Merrimack Warriors out of North Andover, Massachusetts. They're in their second straight national championship game, and they are looking for their first. Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage on NCAA.com. I'm Ralph Bednarczyk, joined by former Hopkins midfielder Mark Dixon. So someone will make history. Merrimack has the championship experience. They were here last year, Mark. St. Leo put together an upset at Lenoir-Rhyne to get here last week through the South bracket in the semifinals.
Well, the Merrimack program is one that's been knocking on the door, and they came here last year and gave Limestone all they could handle. Let's make no bones about it, they're the heavy favorite in this game, but St. Leo's has momentum. They knocked off Lenoir-Rhyne, the number one seed in the South, a week ago. Anything can happen on Championship Sunday.
Let's show you how they got here. First for St. Leo at 16-2. They've won a couple in a row. Thomas Tatarian, their goalie, a redshirt junior from Shoreham, New York, was dazzling against Lenoir-Rhyne. 16 stops.
He's a second-team All-American coming into today's game with a 60% save percentage. He's a big body. You can see him right there. He plays in a low crouch, but can explode to the ball and just takes up a lot of the cage.
And then he goes about 5'7" from Cheshire, Connecticut. Sean Black, an honorable mention All-American and the NE10 Rookie of the Year, has had a super year with 91 points.
I mean, those are arcade type of numbers, video game kind of numbers. Black, only a freshman, 91 points. He is just such a creative playmaker, but he's a dual threat. He can score goals, but he can also dish the rock with the best of him in Division II.
St. Leo and Merrimack coming up in just a moment. The Division III National Championship game went to Wesleyan, another first-timer, and Wesleyan got the job done 8-6. Can St. Leo be another first-timer today to do it? Merrimack here last year, they come in with a 13-game winning streak out of the Northeast 10 Conference that has been very much battle-tested, but new blood, fresh blood at Division II, a division that most recent time has been dominated by Lemoyne and Limestone. So this is, in some sense, already history being made. St. Leo, Mark, was the first ever Florida program in any college lacrosse level, men's or women's, back in 2006. Brad Jorgensen started it, and they have had this rise that's taken 14 years.
It's been a decent ascension, and when you talk about Florida lacrosse, Florida Tech on the Division II level, and how about Jacksonville University under the leadership of former Syracuse goaltender John Galloway. So the sport is growing for sure in the Sunshine State.
Now the Merrimack Warriors being introduced under head coach Mike Morgan. This is their fifth NCAA tournament, and losing last year 11-9 to Limestone here at Foxborough. What are some of the takeaways you think as you were here for that game perhaps they took away against a great Limestone team?
Well, look, first of all, you've been on the big stage. You've been in the Gillette Stadium before in front of this louder crowd and bigger venue, and that experience is invaluable because leading up to the game, leading up to the opening face-off, you kind of know what to expect. And St. Leo's is experiencing it now for the first time ever. But I think this is a program, again, that's been knocking on the door. And I think their coach, Mike Morgan, is saying, now it's time to kick the door in, go in and take the national championship.
He loves this team's swagger and competitive edge, describes how they are a mean and nasty and competitive group. They do compete days after games, after the big win in the NE10 championship. A couple days later, they go lighter. They do 3-on-3 drills. They have a couple of fights break out just because teammates are going at it so hard in practice. They have such a hunger on this team. And against Seton Hill in the semifinal, they were able to overwhelm Seton Hill by a 16-9 score. They have that kind of quality that championship teams have, and we'll see if that will come out on the field.
You know, a lot of people will look at teammates getting into it at practice and think it's a bad thing, but no, I think it speaks more to the competitive nature of the ball club and how much guys want it. You know, how much they want their position on the field, how much they want to be leaders, and how much they want to lead their school to the promised land. And, you know, Merrimack has an opportunity today, like you said, to make history, as does St. Leo's, but this really, if Merrimack executes, plays their game plan, man, they've got a really good chance of picking up the school's first national title.
The starters have been introduced. The players are on the field. Chilly conditions with temperatures in the mid-50s here. Light precipitation too, but we are ready to go at Gillette Stadium. Our officials, the referee is Matt Thalem, working with Rob Gross, Chris Clark, and the alternate official is John Talmo. Merrimack is located exactly 53 miles away here from Gillette Stadium, so they have the overwhelming cheering section. And perhaps the bad weather experience, Mark Dixon, although when I asked St. Leo coach Brad Jorgensen, is this the worst weather they've played in their season opener, February 3rd at Alabama Huntsville, there was a light snow.
I tell you, the temperature has dropped from yesterday to today about 25 degrees, but the Merrimack faithful, they're filling up 4 sections here at Gillette Stadium. They have got a lot of fans here for the Warriors.
For St. Leo, a major question mark was going to be facing off, and Jordan Williams, the freshman, comes up with the first one. It's a big gap. Williams at 46% this season. He's a high school attackman from Central Florida. Blake Boudreau, the face-off man, is the specialist of the year, a first-team All-American for Merrimack. He just lost that one, but he is 68% coming in.
Well, that'll do a lot for the confidence of St. Leo's. And some adjustments will have to be made by Boudreau and the Merrimack coaching staff. A lot of lacrosse. I mean, obviously 60-minute game, but this is what St. Leo's wants, an opening possession. We'll see how methodical they are in trying to dissect this Merrimack defense.
St. Leo with 3 Canadians on their attack. Kyle Powells, Charlie Kurtenbach, who moved in high school to the Seattle area from British Columbia, and Jake Gilmore, senior from Ontario. As everybody gets a touch with Kurtenbach moving it to the outside against this Merrimack man-to-man defense. Under Coach Mike Morgan, they've played about 90% of the season in a man-to-man. As here in the Dodge is Philip Bouquet, a sophomore from Whitby, Ontario, a Canadian in the midfield. Then turning and trying to at least make a shot, or at least get it out of his stick, was Jake Gilmore. Lost it, and it's recovered here by St. Leo with Anthony Visentin. He's a Long Islander.
Good defense so far. Good defense by Merrimack.
Then a good trail check from the side to jar the ball free. Hunter Schmel, the short stick D-Midi of the year, jarred it loose. And the Warriors are going to come up with their first possession off the takeaway.
Well, you can tell that he's a talented short stick D-Midi. He's athletic, rangy, moved his feet really well in those 2 sequences of having to play midfield defense, and earns the takeaway, and now Merrimack gets their first offensive possession.
And the attack is loaded with a pair of freshmen, Sean Black, as we open the show with Christian Thomas from nearby Rentham, Massachusetts, making a homecoming, and then the big burly 6'3", 220-pound sophomore Charlie Bertrand, the most outstanding attackman named earlier this week and a first-team All-American. As Black will go outside. Merrimack is playing with that grad student John Bassett, who's been hurt this season but was a mainstay on their first midfield. So we'll see a lot of Bailey Walsh see his playing time bump up. They're on the roll, and then a good back check to jar the ball free. Good pressure on Black. Good helicopter check by Joe Sarecchia, and St. Leo gets it back.
Tremendous check by Sarecchia, well-timed, takes the stick right out of the hands of Sean Black. So right off the bat, you're taking the cross out of the hands of the leading scorer for Merrimack, and win it. So a couple things that don't happen every day. You win the opening face-off in the game, and then you de-twig a lethal scorer. So really nice start here for St. Leo.
Kurtenbach, he's a 2-year starter, 68 points. He's 3rd on the team. And the guy that Brad Jorgensen describes as he puts the pressure on opposing defenses. Outside, Matt Shand, a Whitby, Ontario midfielder of the Hill Academy. And everybody will get a touch here for St. Leo. And they'll line up the Dodge. Here again from Bouquet. Bouquet, left-handed look. Past the goalie, the freshman, also from Cheshire, Connecticut, Peter Brown. He started now 17 out of 19 games. He was in the three-man battle early in the season, but he's won the job out due to consistency and a very good outletter to spark transition. Turning inside is Kurtenbach, denied there by Peter Brown. And the battle for the ground ball. Gilmore had the opportunity. Merrimack comes up with it with James Bassett. But then a very aggressive ride gets the ball back for Gilmore.
Well, you can see the athleticism of St. Leo. Right away, the eyeball test, they're smaller than Merrimack. And what they're doing offensively is they're spreading them out, wide circle, attacking the edges. But you can tell they've got a lot of quickness and a lot of craftiness with the number of Canadians that they have on this ball club, which means a lot of them are going to be one-handed. If they're righty, they're staying right and going right. If they're lefty, they're staying left and going left.
Good face dodge, Matt Shand. He's turned back as Schmel has him there. Daniel Sparks, sophomore from Lagro, Indiana. Shand gets the right-handed shot off. Brown perhaps fought it off, and Schmel will find it.
Yeah, if you're Merrimack, you kind of been bailed out. No real shots on cage just yet for St. Leo. One that was turned away, but you've played a significant amount of defense, but St. Leo has not found a way really to unlock your D at this point.
So the Warriors have it. Coach Mike Morgan of Merrimack describes his offense being multi-dimensional. They've got step-down shooters. They can dodge through you. Good transition. And great balance. And Brad Jorgensen scouting out his opponent felt, their midfield helps make their attack be so proficient.
You got to be able to draw slides and get defenders coming up field. And Merrimack does a tremendous job of that. Opens things up underneath for their attackmen. You can see a cat and mouse game being played by Merrimack. Carlin Joyle, long stick midfielder, just standing out here in no man's land, being guarded by Matt Shand. So it's 5-on-5 lacrosse, courtesy of the Warriors and their decision to leave their long stick midfielder out and just being shut off.
Handling is Dean Prouty, a senior from Hanover, Mass. He's been a good two-way midi. Mike Morgan does not like to use the term short stick D midi. Two-way guys, that's his word. And two-way for St. Leo as they pick up the ground ball with Jake By up ahead, a 2-on-1. Tic-tac-toe, they tried Powell's. And Kyle Powell's, their second leading scorer with 54 goals, had a chance at a layup.
Just misses the pass. Pass was a little bit behind him, but you got to like St. Leo. They will push the tempo. You saw that in their semifinal victory over Lenore-Rhine, 12-11. Tremendous lacrosse game. Again, Chatarian, who has not faced a shot yet in this game, 16 huge saves, a big reason why the Lions are here in Foxborough.
Yeah, and as I asked you, Mark, even off-air, 59 shots by Lenore-Rhine.
That's a more rubber than a Goodyear factory.
Yep. Brad Jorgensen said, simply put, he's been out of his mind. We lose by 4 if we don't have him against Lenore-Rhine. And he's come back from a torn ACL his freshman year. Didn't recover really until 2 years later, and he's a bit unorthodox.
Well, you can see that big brace on his left knee, giving him support and protection.
Here's a shot that beats him low. It's Jack Trask. Merrimack strikes first.
It's nice, patient offense by Merrimack. Nothing fancy. They keep the ball to one side of the field, so they're to the right of right-handed goaltender Tartarian, and it's just a draw of a double. Trask slips underneath, and then he's just going to lower his stick and shoot low to low, a worm burner. Very similar to the first goal of the Wesleyan Salisbury Division III championship that we saw a few hours ago. Merrimack, Trask with the first tally.
He is the guy that they say bleeds Merrimack blue and gold, the unanimous guy that carries out the flag back from 2 terrible injuries. This is the final game of his career from Colorado Springs. Sophomore year, he snapped his tibia in a game against Middlebury. And then early last year, after having a very good season, suffered a torn hamstring, came back for the NCAA tournament just to play in the national championship game and the semis. but he ended up having to just watch the game. He couldn't go. And what an emotional moment perhaps for Jack Trask to score the game's first goal.
That's a lot of dedication and resilience that you just talked about with Trask. So for him to get the first marker in this national championship game has to feel really good.
What do you know? It's St. Leo 2-0 on faceoffs. But this one raked ahead nicely, and Black will come up with the pickup. Black then feeding to the front, in tight, the shot denied, I think by Tatarian. That was Schmel, who had a walk-in appointment.
St. Leo dodges a bullet right there as the pass not connected, but I like so far both teams are willing to take chances. I think they're calculated risks. I don't think it's a high-risk, high-reward kind of thing, but you got to try to open up and put your stamp on this game, establish your identity, and try to force your will upon your opponent.
Up top, this is Bailey Walsh. That gets the run here. Sophomore Dom Thomas on that midfield. Here's Bertrand as they try to take away his left hand. Bertrand trying to roll back out of Baldwinsville. Big high school power in upstate New York. Thomas. Walsh. He goes up against the St. Leo D-Mini, or the two-way man, and Walsh is able to score. So Bailey Walsh has been practicing all week. They did not want to elevate someone from the second midfield, so his playing time could be largely increased, and he pays off his coach's decision with a goal.
Great patience. It's a dodge and then a redodge. So Walsh, left hand down the alley, dodging in and out, and recognizes as defender, steps off of him a little bit, and he just takes advantage. He gets leverage, gets underneath, gets to his strong hand, and then dunks it home past Tatarian. So this is what you have to do in terms of getting to an All-American goaltender early in a lacrosse game.
13th of the season for Walsh, a senior from nearby Derry, New Hampshire. Boudreau. And the first face-off win for Merrimack. Schmel able to swim through the defender. Good skip pass. Then the look at Tatarian came out to challenge the angle.
Nice job by Tatarian cutting down the shooter's space of what he had to look at. But Merrimack, you can sense that they're starting to get into a rhythm. They're starting to really feel good about their offense. I mean, that was a beautiful skip pass off the break, threading the needle to a man on the far side of the field. That is not an easy pass to make, and often one you don't make in transition.
That was Hunter Schmel. As Mike Morgan said, you know, he'd kill me if I called him a D-Midi. He is a two-way midfielder. Named the first-team All-American. And has been another terrific piece to this Merrimack program that has been climbing recently. But 17-1. They've set a new program record for wins. The only thing remaining, they've had plenty of All-Americans, but this is the last step, a national championship. Dean Prouty to the stick of Kyle Stenberg. Black against Sarecchia. Black able to flip the pass in, and that one, hold on a moment. They celebrate, it's in. Merrimack leads it 3-0. What a pretty pass slipped in by Sean Black.
You see Black's playmaking ability on this one. He takes his man out to the far wing, probably about 7 yards behind goal line extended, comes in with the left, and then it's just a little pop off of the crease. Nice little cut inside by, it looked like Christian Thomas. You can see the double from St. Leo, and the ball, it caromed. Tatarian got a piece of it, but it nestles into the upper corner. The officials delayed in calling it a good goal because they wanted to make sure that Thomas wasn't in the crease before that ball entered the cage. They said he wasn't. The ball crosses the goal line, and Merrimack goes up by 3.
Christian Thomas, he and his brother Dom both start on the offense. And a face-off win for Boudreau. Boudreau carrying to goal, wave it off. And a late flag coming out. And Boudreau took a punishing hit at the end of the play.
You heard a whistle to stop play, and then Boudreau got lit up. Boudreau walking off the field without his helmet. We're going to have to see how that hit affects him. He's such a big part of this Merrimack team in terms of being their face-off ace.
Again,
so it looks like it's an unnecessary roughness call, and it's a timeout. So Merrimack called for a timeout, and after the whistle had blown, Boudreau got blown up by a St. Leo player. So it's going to be a minute foul against the Lions.
Comes here with 4:09 remaining, 3-0 Merrimack. And the Warriors ranked number 2 in the final poll before the NCAA tournament. They were the preseason favorite this year in Division II, despite not winning the title last year. And they have come out, I think, with that hunger and fire that you would like that Mike Morgan has seen his team have all year.
You got to, look, they are the favorite in this game. St. Leo had a very hard, very emotional victory over Lenoir-Rhyne a week ago. It's their first time here. And you saw early, St. Leo won the first faceoff of the game, got a ride to get a second possession. They were playing with a ton of energy. And you got to try to break their spirit. You got to try to break their will, and that's exactly what Merrimack is trying to do, up 3-0. Now with a minute, extra man opportunity, a chance to make it 4-0. So right now, St. Leo needs Tatarian to step up, make a good save, and just have a good defensive stand on this next series.
It's Joe Sarecchia, starting defenseman for St. Leo, that is off for the illegal body check for a minute. And Merrimack's man-up unit at 38%. We'll get a look here coming out of the timeout. And so far, Merrimack with 3 different goal scorers, Trask, Walsh, and Thomas, with Sean Black getting the assist. Faceoffs is even at 2 apiece, so that's a real positive for St. Leo's for the season. They're facing off at just 40%. That's 51st in Division II. That is in the bottom 10.
It's pretty amazing that the team could only win 40% of their faceoffs and be in a national championship game. I think that speaks to the other powerful parts of their ball club: the good goalie, solid defense, fast midfielders, creative midfielders, and a slick attack.
Here's the Merrimack man up. Christian Thomas. Bertrand, the attackman of the year, does not have a shot yet. Up top, Trask. Here's Bertrand. That shot, and that pings the pipe, and that's going to go into the crowd.
Somebody's got a souvenir here at Gillette Stadium. Goal still shaking. That was a heat-seeking missile fired on the EMO.
Bertrand passed it up. This time it's Trask. He got a good look. Well, Charlie Bertrand, he puts a weight behind him, 6'3", 220.
You can see Bertrand and Stenberg both with big lefties.
Christian Thomas, able to go low to high, adds his second straight, and Merrimack is rolling in the opening quarter.
3 quality shots uncorked by the Merrimack Warriors during that man-up situation, and it's accentuated by the finish of Christian Thomas, a freshman out of Rentham, Massachusetts. Just sets his feet. He sees he's probing the defense. No one's going to step out to him, put a stick in his glove. So basically he just says, you're going to let me shoot? I'll take the opportunity. and he starts on the bottom floor and ends up in the penthouse. Nice low to high riser by number 39 in the white and gold, Christian Thomas.
Thomas is second, comes unassisted, and has 34 on the season. Mike Morgan calls him a super high IQ player and a very good shooter. Boudreau, good sign for Merrimack. He's back on the field. Remember, he had his bell rung.
Big time.
Helmet back on. Against freshman Jordan Williams. And scooping up the ball is Merrimack. Tic-tac-toe, Bertrand finishes! Carlin Joyle, the pole, started the push. It's 5-0.
Just a sensational play by Carlin Joyle. As the face-off guys are contesting the 50-50 ground ball, Joyle just picks it up off the carpet, and that is textbook fast break offense by the Merrimack Warriors. They hit the point man, he skips it down low to Bertrand, and Bertrand just puts the high bouncer past Tatarian. Great transition offense for the Merrimack Warriors.
So the nation's most outstanding tackman. The tackman gets his first, two-time first team all NE10. And number 59. Back in the fall, Merrimack took on Yale, who's also here this weekend, Mark, and Bertrand, as a sophomore, Mike Morgan felt really came of age. He looked impressive against a very tough and very good Yale defense. That was kind of a sign of things to come. Another face-off win, Schmel. Christian Thomas behind the back, and the shot denied. Slam shot by Tatarian on block. The rebound, Tatarian's got another.
Two highlight reel saves right there by Tatarian. Beautiful stops on the doorstep. And we'll see if that gets him back on track. But as good as the original save was, you got to be more patient. Can't turn it over.
And he makes another save as Bertrand came up with the takeaway. And finally, the ball will go back to St. Leo.
The good news is Tatarian just made 3 highlight reel type saves. The bad news is they cannot clear. They got to take care of the ball. You can't give Merrimack those second and third chance opportunities because Tatarian's not going to be able to stop them all. Wow, that was sweet goaltending right there, though. Holy smokes.
3 consecutive saves for Thomas Tatarian, a Long Islander that came to St. Leo's junior day. And they've had a long line of players from Shoreham Wading River High School out east out in Suffolk County. So he felt comfortable with the school and majoring in the sports business program. St. Leo had the opening couple of possessions. Now they find themselves trailing 5-0. And coming up on the final minute and a half of the opening quarter here at Gillette Stadium.
It's been a while since St. Leo has been on offense.
This is Jake Gilmore. And Gilmore had his hands tied up. The Sunshine State Conference Player of the Year. The first to earn a major award in program history. Question mark move inside. Kurtenbach in his shot, and he was checked as he released in the shot. Dan Cotnoir for a Merrimack on the approach.
Nice man ball between goalie and defender. Textbook, actually, and creates another possession for the Warriors.
Final minute with Bertrand into the stick of Black. Merrimack has shot 5 out of 12. And they lead 5-0, and it could be a lot more.
Could have been. Yeah, Tatarian with 3 gem-like saves in the last Merrimack possession. But the Warriors have to feel really good about where they are in this contest. And Mike Morgan, he wanted to come out guns a-blazing, wanted to come out and really establish the tempo and put their stamp on this game, and they've done just that.
Good trail check by Joe Sarecchia to knock it free from Black. Still time, though, for Merrimack.
Under 10 seconds to go.
Bertrand Bertrand still got his left hand free, and with 3.5 seconds to go, Merrimack will keep it. Off of a screen to get one more look and sting the corner. Well designed off a screen. It's Kyle Stenberg ripping it.
If you're St. Leo, that is a backbreaker. You just can't have that happen off a restart, and a restart where the official actually set the offensive player, so you get a chance to set your defense. Stenberg just loops off of a screen, gets wide open, and sticks it with 1/10 of a second showing on a clock. That is a very tough goal to give up for the St. Leo Lions.
He's become their 4th leading scorer. Kyle Stenberg's 32nd. They thought he might be a very nice practice player when they recruited him, and he has emerged, was the MVP of the NE10 tournament, had 5 goals there. And Merrimack has put together nearly the perfect opening quarter of a national championship game.
I could not argue with that.
The Warriors have punched. We'll see if St. Leo can counterpunch in the second quarter. We're coming back here to Foxborough for the Division II Men's Lacrosse National Championship game on NCAA.com. Six 0 Merrimack, pursuing the program's first national championship impressively over St. Leo, a first-timer in the national championship game. Back in Foxborough, Ralph Denorchik with Mark Dixon in our NCAA.com booth, situated beautifully here right at midfield at Gillette Stadium. But for Merrimack, after not getting the first couple of face-offs, what did they adjust, or what worked so effectively for them that they have this big spread?
I think Boudreau changed his technique at the dot, but also they're getting defensive stops. They're being very aggressive, and they're shooting the ball incredibly well. It's almost like every shot is on cage, including the ones Tatarian was able to save. But they're just putting a ton of pressure on the St. Leo defense.
Blake Boudreau wins the faceoff, and now that's 5 out of 7 and 5 consecutive faceoff wins for Boudreau.
I mean, you look at the first quarter, shots 14-5, advantage Merrimack, ground balls 14-5. I mean, it's total domination by the Merrimack Warriors. St. Leo also turned the ball over 5 times in that first 15 minutes. You just cannot do that and be successful against a team like Merrimack.
Walsh forced further down the alley by Julian Taylor, then cutting it across with the flag out. It will count. Bailey Walsh with a pair of goals.
Walsh timed the defense of Julian Taylor. So there you see Taylor like shove him down the alley, and I think Taylor expected some help, and he doesn't get it, and he's got to try to catch up. And Walsh just lowers his shoulder, has a foot grounded, gets shoved in the back, flag flies, and the officials say the ball was in the net before Walsh landed in the crease. Penalty wiped out by the goal. Well, the Warriors continue to roll.
Another Merrimack senior. One start this season, has played some steady second midfield with the 7th guy out of the Holderness School in New Hampshire. So he and Christian Thomas each have a pair. Jordan Williams had it momentarily. And it is Williams able to shovel it ahead. Some space here for St. Leo. They go across, and they have a finish. Charlie Kurtenbach. 7-1.
You got to credit the face-off work. Nifty little flip up to the long pole. Beautiful execution. And then you got to appreciate the look across from Kyle Pules as he finds Kurtenbach on the backside. Nice little finish. And that is a big lift for the St. Leo lacrosse team.
Kurtenbach's a 2-year starter that buried his 40th. A British Columbia native that moved to Seattle for high school. Dad played at Whittier College, but grandfather with great experience was a 20-year NHL defenseman that was known for his toughness. So that makes it 7-1, and Kyle Powell's on the assist.
I think it speaks to the confidence that the St. Leo offense has. They're down 7-0, and Powell gets that feed and just threads the needle to Kurtenbach. They're going to continue to play the way that they've played all year. They just got to try to get some defensive stops here and some saves from Tartarian.
Another face-off win for Boudreau, as was picked up off the wing by Eric Coburn. Long pole midi from Londonderry, New Hampshire for Merrimack. Here's Jack Trask. Trask able to sweep across. Thought about the shot before the recovering Jack Sparrow got there. Then on the turn, shooting right-handed, easy save there for Tartarian on Charlie Bertrand.
I like how Tartarian plays a little in between the goal line and the crease, top of the crease. He doesn't stay heels on the line. He steps up a little bit, about a foot or two. And I think that does a great job of him cutting down angles. And I like the way he catches the ball when he makes a save. And what I mean by that is he's not a guy that gives up a ton of rebounds.
Brad Jorgensen calls him a reactionary goalie, a little unorthodox. And was an ice hockey goalie too. Schmel, down low, Black! It's a layup. First of the game for Sean Black.
Tartarian makes a great save on the other end. And then on the offense, St. Leo just can't clear. And you got to give a ton of credit to Hunter Schmel. Picks up a loose ball, tears down the field, and finds Sean Black on a backdoor cut. Slam dunk, Merrimack. Their lead's back to 7.
So Black's first. Mike Morgan saying that if he was 6 inches taller at 6'3", he'd be playing at Duke tomorrow. But he's got the mentality of a bigger kid who plays tougher at 5'7". Mike described to me when you're really small what he looks for. Toughness, elite lacrosse sense, and then elite or high-level skills that can get you past some of your physical deficiencies.
You saw the IQ. You know, recognizing that the defense was all staring upfield. He does a backdoor cut, and Schmel threads the needle. That is a terrific goal in transition for Merrimack.
We'll get a hold called against Williams. So Boudreau, the face-off win. Merrimack averaging nearly 15 goals a game, 6th in Division II.
They're more than halfway there with 12 minutes still left to go here in the second quarter.
They erupted last week against Seton Hill, eventually pulling away by a 16-9 final as Boudreau got going. Black led the way with 3-3. Bertrand with 3-2. Black, big little behind. Black walks it out in front.
Just a speed dodge from Sean Black to the left of the right-handed goaltender Tartarian. Head of steam. Little split dodge from right to left. Just leaves his defender in the dust and doesn't need much, but he gets topside very quickly, establishes a little bit of angle, and slips it stick side past Tartarian. Not much the St. Leo goaltender could do in that one.
Sean played for the Connecticut Cardinals growing up. Who do you think the club coach was at that time? Who runs it, Mark?
And what's the program again?
Connecticut Cardinals.
Connecticut Cardinals.
Yes. Sort of a trick
Give me a
question.
hint.
He just won a national championship.
He just won a national championship.
John Rava of Wesleyan.
No kidding.
Brought up Sean Black through his club team. So what a day
Makes
that
sense.
could
Connecticut
be.
Cardinals,
Yeah.
Wesleyan Cardinals. I see what he did there.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations again to John Rava, and after their terrific victory, their stifling zone ending the 2-year run of Salisbury. Salisbury had been undefeated here at Gillette Stadium. They were 3-0. Well, the zone defense was highly effective. Salisbury was not able to shoot a great percentage, and Wesleyan won the program's first national championship, 8-6. Merrimack in control of this one at 9-1 as they pursue their first title.
Yeah, Merrimack is just really dominating this game. They've tilted the field after the first 5 minutes or so. The feeling out process, it has been all Warriors ever since.
Trask takes a couple of jabs from Ethan Ticehurst. Long pole midi for St. Leo. Shot inside Tatarian to save. And in the crease against Merrimack. So the Lions getting the stop.
Good save from Tatarian. And then the crease violation against Merrimack as the momentum of the offensive player carried him into that crease area. St. Leo, you just got to clear the ball right here. Get the ball down on offense, settle it in, and just try to get into some type of flow, some type of rhythm to attack this Merrimack back line.
That's Matt Shand outside, 5th leading scorer. Very good initiator that has not been able to carry yet. But Shand will take on Dean Prouty as the two-way midi. Slipping the pass into Kurtenbach. Shand, Gilmore, down low, tight catch, and a shot missed Kurtenbach. And then winning the race to the end line for backup is Dan Cotnoir, and Merrimack has it.
Great play by Cotnoir. Excellent ball movement by St. Leo. But when Kurtenbach wound up to shoot that, Cotnoir noticed it, and that's when he just ran to the end line in case he missed the cage. He did. Tremendous backup by the Merrimack defender.
Shots are 19-7 in favor of the Warriors. And they're 7 out of 11 facing off. But they've won 7 of the last 9. Meanwhile, St. Leo's has turned it over 7 times. Here's Walsh, who's got a pair against Preschel. Bertrand on the rollback. Swung against a Bertrand. And defended well. Jake Bai, who's another Canadian, a senior from British Columbia. Best close D-man for St. Leo. There's a shot by Walsh, bidding for the first half hat trick wide.
They've really got the St. Leo defense off kilter. Spinning around. Great ball movement. Rotating. Trying to recover.
Flip pass as he looked for Thomas. It's picked up and recovered and finished. Michael O'Connell, the midfielder. It is all going right for Merrimack.
St. Leo looked like they were going to catch a break right there as Black tried to hit his line mate on the run. The pass goes awry, but it pops right into the stick of Michael O'Connell, who just picks it up and slots it past Tatarian. So even when things don't go right for Merrimack, they're working out in the end.
The young man you see here, Mark, about 3.5 years ago weighed 260 pounds. He was a high school football offensive lineman. Spring of his senior year down to 230, arrived at 210, and now under 200 pounds. He lost in total 70 pounds, Mark. That's his 21st, and he has become a midfielder. He was the final guy, the last spot in that recruiting class 3 years ago, and Mike Morgan thrilled that they had room to take him.
He's worked really hard to get himself in shape, to be fit, and to have an opportunity to contribute to this Merrimack lacrosse team. Face-off violation against the Warriors gives St. Leo the ball. Much needed possession.
Here's a jumping shot blocked. Anthony Visinton was the shooter. Merrimack a chance to run. They push the 4-on-3. Christian Thomas back inside to Black.
Merrimack right now is running away with this thing. St. Leo has not taken a timeout. They may have wanted to take one a few minutes ago, but now might be somewhat of an appropriate time. Great transition lacrosse again, and so unselfish. The one more from Christian Thomas down to Sean Black. Black then, beautiful shot to the far post. Right now, Merrimack is just having their way with the St. Leo Lions.
3 in the game, all in the second quarter for Sean Black. He has the most points in a single season at Merrimack since 2006. And I touched on that Wesleyan-John Raba connection. It's a family connection, too. His dad is the head strength and wrestling coach at Wesleyan. So he's already had a super day.
Hey, man, it's good to have a father doing stuff like that. You can always keep in shape, no slacking off.
Especially if your dad is a wrestler, too.
Hey, man, that's a double whammy right there.
Yeah, there are no brownies.
Dietary discipline, physical fitness, mental toughness.
(11-1) Merrimack. The most goals St. Leo has allowed in the game this season was 12, twice at Mount Olive and then against Lindenwood of Missouri.
Yeah, this is a St. Leo team that you mentioned. Florida lacrosse. Tampa was a team that they needed to conquer in order to make it here to championship weekend in Foxborough. They lost to Tampa on April 29th, 8-6, but then they were able to get revenge in the NCAA tournament, the first round, 12-11 in overtime.
Bertrand tried to dive through. Black and tight, Tatarian. And holding the pipe well. So Thomas Tatarian has been very busy as he was last week. Problems clearing for the Lions. Prouty. Trail checked away, and zipping through is Jake By. Another pass thrown away.
They're just having all kinds of trouble.
And now a flag coming out to boot. This will be against Julian Taylor, at least for 30. For a push
nothing going St. Leo's way right now. Having trouble catching, throwing, clearing, and then the shove in the back. Free possession right now for the Merrimack Warriors.
Still 5.5 to go in the second quarter, and Merrimack has put together an explosive first half. An offense that only Lemoyne, back on March the 24th, was really able to quiet. That's Merrimack's lone loss this season, 8-5 up in Syracuse. That's what the Dolphins typically will do to you.
Tough program. It's interesting, the kind of the pattern of Division II lacrosse. Lemoyne was the kingpin for a while, but now
Here's a
Merrimack
shot,
might be the
Bertrand.
kingpin at 18.
Beautifully designed. Bertrand comes off of a screen to make it 12-1.
Really a perfect possession with the flag down. Get in your substitutions, keep the ball cycling around, and then just a flip play to a little feed to Bertrand. Bertrand showing his versatility, his mobility. He's been dodging. He's been moving off ball. Number 6, the sophomore, putting on a show with the rest of his Warrior offensive teammates.
Here's the timeout finally from St. Leo. Christian Thomas on his 4th assist of the game to go along with 2 goals in the first half. And Merrimack in complete control at 12-1. The shots are 24-8. And Merrimack is, you went on the, I started to go on the path about Division II men's lacrosse and how about the NE10 and how well Merrimack is battle tested trying to get through that conference and ultimately reaching finals consistently, going up against programs like Lemoyne and Adelphi to prepare themselves for these moments.
No question. And you know, it's a program, and it's a theme this championship weekend. You know, Scott Marr, 18 years at Albany. Andy Shea, 15 years at Yale. John Raba, 22 years at Wesleyan. You know, it just doesn't happen overnight. You have to continue to build brick by brick, layer by layer. And that's what this Merrimack team has been able to do under Mike Morgan. His 11th season, and now they finally have broken through. And unless a miracle takes place for the St. Leo Lions, they're going to be hoisted to gold in about an hour.
Yep, and Mike really gave great insight this week about the character of his team. They've outscored their 2 opponents coming into the NCAA tournament 40-15, saying that they're on a mission and saying that he's never coached a team like this before, that he can tell by the way they prepare. He always thought it was coach speak. When coaches talk about, other coaches, he started to talk about how teams have a certain look in their eyes, that they work for something. And for the first time in his 11 years of coaching, that he's actually seen it for himself, that a team or one of his teams shows that and exudes that.
Well, they were here last year, and they stood toe-to-toe with Limestone, another perennial power, multiple national championships at the Division II level. And after you have that experience and you're right there in a game that you could have won, how else can you not feel confident and galvanized that you can make a run at this thing?
Jordan Williams comes up with a face-off win. His dad played at Cortland, and is the head coach at Montverde Academy down in Florida as the sport continues to grow there. And up ahead transition to Julian Taylor, a Tampa native, playing high school. Has been a big star as a D-midi.
And St. Leo still just can't get the ball in the offensive end for a possession.
Finally, Ethan Ticehurst. Then the feed from the wing. This is also knocked down. And Merrimack with aggressive sticks all over the place. This will stay with the Lions. Jake Gilmore, we haven't mentioned his name much. He just has 1 shot. And he's their leading scorer with 75 points, a new single-season record in the 14-year history of St. Leo. Shot off goal by Kurtenbach, recovered in tight. The save made by Brown. Brown looked around, and the ball was in the corner.
Well, there you can see the craftiness of the St. Leo team. That was Zach Lisk with the shot.
Then the bouncer, Brown might have fought it off. Perhaps it caught the right post behind him.
It was like 2 pipes in a row for St. Leo.
Philip Bouquet collected it. And St. Leo using the timeout at 12-1 Bouquet and try to shovel it across the goal mouth, and it's a turnover.
Second time today that Cotinier has run that ball out for Merrimack. That's an athletic, intelligent play.
Brown at the far sideline. Cotnoir, and all by himself is Schmel. He's a transfer from Stevenson. He played there for Paul Cantabine, but wanted to be closer to home. He's from Woodstock, Vermont. Timeout Merrimack. In full command with 2:46 remaining, the Warriors, who entered with super expectations, had to replace a great player named Tim Toller. He was a big hit at the midfield. Max Allen, lifeblood type of team guys. And then in goal, but virtually everybody else was back. And this is a team that has that hunger. It's their 4th straight NCAA tournament appearance. That's a program record. And the busy stages and that it takes. And Mark, through your experiences, we've seen programs emerge. What are the different stages a program like Merrimack had to make before reaching today?
I think, first of all, you got to hire the right coach who wants to establish the right culture and the right mindset. And from there, you go out and get players that are going to buy into your system. And you ingrain it in them. And everybody's got to be the bottom of the pyramid at some point. And guys have to come in and say, instead of going to Lemoyne or instead of going to Adelphi or instead of going to Limestone, where I might be able to win right away, I see the value in starting something. I see the pride that you can take in being a forefather. So I think that's first and foremost. And then from there, you get a little taste of success and you build on those successes. And success can be defined in many different ways. It's not just wins, but also just some moral victories along the line, some academic achievement, and then you see things kind of blossom from there. And I think that's a perfect illustration of what this Merrimack team and what this Merrimack program has been able to do.
Yeah, the phrase Mike Morgan used, we built it foundationally correct. No cutting corners and recruiting character. And of course, we're in an age where everybody wants everything quickly.
Yeah.
But sometimes paying your dues, you end up maybe having something even better than if you cut some corners.
No question. And again, I'll go back to at the Division I level, Scott Marr and Andy Shea. Albany first championship weekend ever. Yale first since 1990, and those guys are almost at their programs 2 decades.
Christian Thomas was ready to step down and shoot, but he'll pull it back here as we're about to hit 2 minutes to go in an impressive opening half for Merrimack. Led 6-0 after 1. They've added 6 more here in the second. Sean Black with 3 of them. Thomas continues to swim through. Crowd wanted the foul.
You got to look at 2 things. One, Thomas initiated the contact going into the teeth of the defense. And 2, it's an 11-goal game.
Pick up there by Stenberg. He's got a goal. And the midfield producing early for Merrimack. Particularly sparked them. Bailey Walsh with a couple goals. Trask with a goal. Here's a tough pickup, and Black just overshot Thomas. Then on the run, and then stinging the corner again is Stenberg. He's done that twice. They say he's the most underrated player on this team.
Well, Black with the errant pass, and St. Leo had a chance to get out of this, but a first-time grounder is missed by Julian Taylor. He just simply overruns it. It ends up in the stick of Stenberg, and he just hammers this one into the upper 90. Tattoos the top corner. Merrimack continues to pour it on.
Especially strong in the step downs. We saw that there. A 40% shooter. That's why he has 8 man-up goals this season. All smiles on the Merrimack sideline as they have a commanding 13-1 lead in a national championship game. Boudreau will come out of the pile. And still another minute to go before the Warriors can have all smiles in the locker room.
1 minute remains in the quarter.
Under a minute left to go here. Merrimack in no hurry. They have not stalled at all in this game, so I'm pretty confident they're going to be allowed to play for the last shot as they make their substitutions and get their proper personnel on the field to make one final push in this game's first half.
Here's Dom Thomas. Younger brother Christians had the super game. Sweeping across is O'Connell. Short time for Merrimack. Walsh with the throwback. On the pickup, Bertrand. That would have been quite the cap.
Oh, yeah. Just missed.
Black sent it across. But the Merrimack Warriors are halfway there, comfortably.
Dominant first 30 minutes. That's the only way you could describe the first half of this contest.
Out shooting St. Leo's 26-12. The Warriors
Enjoy the rest of the game.
back on NCAA.com. Ralph Pinarchik, Mark Dixon, as we show you our first half highlights. There's a stinging shot from Christian Thomas. Mark, it's hard to pick out maybe one highlight. Merrimack just poured it on.
Once they got their first marker, it just seemed to lift the lid off the cage, and Merrimack just came at St. Leo's fast and furious. Tremendous rides, great transition. This is the actual only St. Leo's goal, but that was really their only highlight of the first half, other than some saves by Tatarian. It was just domination from really the middle of the first quarter to the end of the first half for the Merrimack Warriors.
They shot 13 out of 26 for an even 50%. They've won 9 of the 15 faceoffs. They are well underway. I suppose if you're Mike Morgan, what do you talk about at the break?
Yeah, you know, I mean, Mike Morgan's probably saying, let's keep our foot on the gas. We still have 30 minutes of lacrosse left to be played. This is a championship game. St. Leo's is here for a reason. So let's not lose our focus. Let's continue to execute, and let's close this thing out.
And then if you're Brad Jorgensen, yes, you're here for the first time. It feels overwhelming. The score does. The atmosphere, the stage may feel overwhelming. What do you think the message was at the half?
I think it's let's just take one play at a time. Let's just settle down and let's just start playing St. Leo's lacrosse. Let's do the things that got us here. You know, they got to take care of the ball. They've got to pick up first-time grounders. They've got to make good passes. Just let's stick to the fundamentals. I'm not quite sure that you can sit there and look your guys in the eye and say, we're going to come back and win this game. But you can look at them certainly and say, we're going to make this a much closer contest than it is right now.
Sean Black also had 3 goals all in the second quarter. He's added a pair of assists. Charlie Bertrand has a pair. And Bailey Walsh also with 2 early goals. Kyle Stenberg also with 2. Thomas Tatarian in the net has made 6 saves for St. Leo's. And Peter Brown was busy early. First 2 possessions actually belonged to St. Leo.
Yeah. They had opportunities early, and they just couldn't convert anything offensively, which is fine. But that just set the stage for Merrimack when they did get the majority of possessions, how they pushed the tempo and how they just really controlled play.
So we're just a few seconds away from starting this third quarter, and the Warriors with a great crowd behind them too. And what a fine moment it is for Merrimack after last year losing to Limestone 11-9 and losing to Lemoyne in the NE10 final to finish up 15-4. That still set a program record for wins, and this year was tailored as the next step. At 17-1 they did make it, and today could be the final step. And some of the lopsided games we've had in Division II history, Merrimack here could be bidding to maybe break what NYIT did in 1997. The coach Jack Cayley, Adelphi with Sandy Capados, 18 goals then. You have to go back to UMBC scoring 23 goals at Adelphi, and Hobart, one of their early titles, Hobart had a 23-goal performance. And the way Merrimack appeared like they were playing, it looks like there's going to be no stopping or no brakes on in this third quarter.
That's as dominant a championship game performance that I've seen in any sport, at any level. It's just really, really impressive what Merrimack was able to do. You hope St. Leo's can come out with a fighting chance and show this audience why they're here in the national finals.
Boudreau, clean face-off win. And for St. Leo's, they were seeking just the program's second national championship in any sport. They had a men's golf team win a team title, but the 13 goals allowed is already the most they've given up in a full game this year. So Black and the Merrimack offense, all the starters still out here.
Oh, there's no question the starters are going to try to extend this lead and further stamp it.
Prouty to dodge outside. Trask, room and time, and Merrimack picks up where they left off. Big room and time shooter, Jack Trask.
Trask just with his feet set, he has proven today to be an incredibly talented shooter. It's very reminiscent of the first goal of the game, where Trask in a similar spot just set his feet, whips it low to low, and Tartarian just has a really difficult time tracking it, picking it up. It finds the back of the cage, and Merrimack, less than a minute into the third quarter, picks up right where they left off at the end of the first half.
Second for Trask as Prouty gets the assist. And the shooting percentage now rises over 50% for Merrimack.
With the assist to number 24, Dean Prouty.
St. Leo's will change it up at the face-off X, as we saw Jordan Williams in there consistently against Boudreau. And now Brad Jorgensen is going to put out, looks like it's Justin Heinman, a sophomore from Erie, Pennsylvania. I'll check that it was Ticehurst the pole. But Boudreau won it anyway and got it to Christian Thomas.
Not much you can do if you're St. Leo's. Just try to throw different guys out at Boudreau. You got to pressure out defensively. I mean, you're losing 14-1. If you lose this game 40-1 or 15-1, you're still going to lose the game. So you might as well press out, try to make Merrimack uncomfortable, and try to create some havoc so you can make some plays and score some goals. And
that was the big elephant in the room, Mark. The numbers don't lie. When you're facing off at just 40%, you're in the bottom 7, to be precise, of Division II. But Brad felt that sometimes it's a matchup thing, and we've won games where we've struggled at the X.
Sure. If you get a guy who's got technique and can beat a certain player, I mean, there's face-off men all over that are successful at a 60-70% clip, but there might be those one or two guys that just own them.
Pick up here by Merrimack as Dom Thomas collected it, and that was part of what did Merrimack in last year against Limestone, as Kevin Reisman, the terrific face-off man for Limestone, was a senior last year, a year apart from Blake Boudreau. Boudreau got him to graduate, and that kind of opened things up for him. Bertrand shooting. Oh, what a bullet. He had the defender on his hip.
Just the power of Bertrand falling away from the goal off of his back foot. And he just puts a BB past Tom Tatarian of St. Leo's. Gets to the center of the field, good position, Not bad defense other than the fact that the stick is on the back instead of being up in the gloves, poke, lift. And Bertrand knows that he has a little bit of leverage and puts a beautiful shot into the upper portion of the net.
Charlie Bertrand, he has his hat trick. It's been a great week for him. The big guy was the Elite 90 Award winner for the Division II Men's Lacrosse Championship. That goes to the best student athlete. At the championship, he's a mechanical engineering major with a 3.92 GPA.
Merrimack just keeps coming.
Tice Hurst. And he will scoop it up. He's had a terrific start to his career from British Columbia. He's played a lot of field lacrosse, but the majority of his experience was a box lacrosse player with a short stick. There's a goal. That's Julian Taylor. Check that, it's 42 Kyle Powells to make it 15-2.
St. Leo's showing some pride, and I think it starts with that face-off and win by Tice Hurst. Just excellent hustle. And then the second goal of the game for Charlie Kurtenbach. Just nothing fancy here, just a little pass across the face of the Merrimack defense, and Kurtenbach whips it into the cage.
Check that, Powell's.
My bad, Kyle Powell's.
So that is his first. And this St. Leo's program built on the strength of two players, two former Pfeiffer College players. Powell's with his 55th. And it was about 2 years ago, Pfeiffer College, who was a Division II mainstay for a little while in North Carolina, decided to drop down from Division II to Division III. And that opened things up for two key players. Powell's started 2 years there, and Brad Jorgensen knew all about him because he had to coach against him. And then Jake By. So once they started to make that transition following the 2016 season, St. Leo's benefited with a couple of highly regarded Canadians.
Yeah, it's all about opportunity. And those two players have found a tremendous opportunity at St. Leo's, and now Powell's has a goal in the national championship game.
Another face-off win. Hunter Schmel had the ground ball. And the ground ball figure, particularly at the half, was super. You realize, Mark, 27 ground balls picked up at the half by Merrimack.
Pretty impressive. Very impressive number. This is a team that's driven, and they're hungry and determined. This, as you mentioned, and we've mentioned throughout this broadcast, this is where they want to be. This is what they want to accomplish. And they have gone out and just really acted that way. There's no other way to put it.
And they don't seem content either.
No, they're not complacent. They're continuing to attack.
Black in the middle, room and time, Stenberg, and somehow Tatarian kept it out.
I think it might have hit the crossbar. Man, sometimes the iron is the goaltender's best friend. Tatarian's reading the shots, though. He's reacting. He's trying to make a play, but, I mean, Stenberg and Bertrand, I mean, those guys have some powerful shots.
Thomas, he was held up, and we're going to get the call, hold, and then a flag coming out. He was all tangled up with the St. Leo defenseman, Tucker Langmead.
It looked like one official was going to call a play on loose ball, but that's why there's three stripes out there. You can see clearly that there was a hold against Thomas. Flag flies, and a man-up opportunity coming for the Warriors.
This will be their second. And they are 1 for 1. Christian Thomas had the earlier finish, and he starts with the ball. And Julian Taylor takes a 1-minute slash.
Oh, so it's a slash, not even a hold.
Black for O'Connell. Up top, Trask almost got his feet set. Bertrand will move it along. Stenberg already with a pair of stingers. And they look for Black on the sneak. And the ball does carry out of bounds. Just the 6th turnover of the game here into the 3rd quarter for Merrimack.
Well, and this is where St. Leo has to take small victories. And that was a small victory in forcing the turnover on the extra man situation.
Squeezing through there, the double team was Anthony Visentin. And now Merrimack able to get all over him. He squeezes through again. Visentin to goal, tried to drop it off. He recovers, then shoots and scores. Well, what an impressive sequence of events for Anthony Visentin.
Great individual effort by Visentin. Looked like you could have had a foul called at the midfield. No flag. Visentin then splits a double team, gets a shot off, but doesn't make it to cage, but it bounces straight back to number 29 in the green and yellow, drawing some oohs and ahs from the crowd. I mean, again, that's just a terrific individual effort to get the 3rd marker of the game for the St. Leo Lions.
Visentin, a senior, has been a 2-year starter. And that pipeline from Shoreham Winning River High School. The head coach there is a Canadian that played at Dowling, Mike Taylor. And Nick Cotter, a former St. Leo's assistant coach that helped in the Canadian infusion, was also a Dowling guy. And part of why St. Leo's has emerged, of course, and taken the next step is that Canadian influence. We've seen many programs, particularly at the Division I level, where they find a niche somewhere in an area, not just Canadian, as Schmel was taken down, but Brad Jorgensen describing, I got tired of trying to deal with Canadians beating me. So he started to get into the Canadian market, and he hired a fellow Canadian assistant coach in Nick Cotter, and that started to open up the door. And players like Jake Gilmore, who was getting Division I interest, and Gilmore had programs like Rutgers that were recruiting him, and Gilmore bypassed those Division I offers to go to St. Leo, among many other Canadian friends, but he was the first one. Bertrand?
Yeah, it seems like that's a trend. Once you get one on campus into your program, a part of your culture, you can open up the proverbial floodgates and establish a pipeline to a certain club, certain area, certain program, and St. Leo's has absolutely done that.
Particularly when you're not an established program and you're trying to build and create. St. Leo's with a 5-on-4 as it was led ahead by Ticehurst, and they have consecutive goals. As a blistering shot from a fellow Canadian, Jake Gilmore, for the first time.
Fun to see St. Leo's get out in some transition, pushing the tempo, pushing the pace. If they want to get back into this game, it's exactly what they're going to have to do, establish early offense. Just a nice job by Gilmore, stepping around his defender. But I think Merrimack has gotten a little bit lazy. James Bassett could have had a trail check, elects not to throw it. Gilmore beats the Merrimack defense with a high-to-low offering. Good shot, nice effort. And the Lions are certainly showing some pride.
He is one of their 5 Canadians from Ontario, not related to Doug Gilmore, but does list him as his favorite player. He is a big Leafs fan, with a former NHL star, and did not wear number 93, which I was surprised at.
I think I used to play Doug Gilmore in NHL 94 back in the day, Sega Genesis.
Everybody loved NHL. It's an iconic video game.
That is an incredible game. St. Leo showing some life here.
And off the face-off, they look to feed Powell's. It was broken up. Cotnoir. And he has shown his relentless motor. And taken off the line here by Powell's. Shot still 15, or 31-15 for Merrimack. They gave up a 7-goal second quarter. And it was 13-1 at the brink.
Little invert. shorty against shorty behind the cage. But this number 7, Hunter Schmel, has been impressive all game long for Merrimack.
Brown making the save. Schmel losing it, and that'll allow Jake Gilmore to pick it up for a second opportunity for St. Leo. 16-2, by far a program record in wins.
5-on-5 here as well as the long stick midfielder for St. Leo stays on the field. Will Toman. And it's 5-on-5 lacrosse, Merrimack versus St. Leo.
Kurtenbach. Out front it comes Gilmore. Finally gets his hands free, and Brown makes the save off the handle.
Great save with his body, stepping in front. I like Gilmore's patience and his strength inside and his ability to absorb checks and get by defenders.
Ground ball picked up here, Brown. And Brown goes opposite. Good thought to go to Ryan Burke. Big body out of the Pinkerton Academy. That's waited his whole career to finally get back on the field. Last year, 6 seconds into the game, Ryan Burke against Limestone tore his MCL. A long way back, and that was part of how and why Merrimack did not have some certain matchups against Limestone they were going into the game planning on doing. And Ryan Burke able to recover.
Yeah, I remember calling that game last year, and it was weird. It was almost like a non-contact injury. He just went down, and it was a big blow and a big loss for Merrimack on that day. But today's a new day, and the Warriors are playing a terrific game. We got a flag down. Play was getting a little chippy behind the clear, so we'll see what the referees have.
Prouty with patience. Free shot for Merrimack.
Shot clock has been put on the Warriors.
Stenberg. Past Julian Taylor. Outside it comes. Shot blocked. Off the stick of Trask. Shot clock still on. Prouty. Prouty off goal, and finally we will have the stoppage and the flag with another 5 minutes to go in the third.
It's going to be an interference call against St. Leo's. I think what the referees were contending, what was happening behind the play is you had Gilmore for St. Leo's getting into it with Bassett from Merrimack. And as Bassett was trying to run up the field and get involved in the clear, Gilmore held him. I believe that's the interference call. And Merrimack will be up one man for up to 30 seconds.
Second man up for Merrimack. They're 0 for 1. That's just about the only thing they haven't done in this game is finish on men up. Here's a chance. It's Bertrand. And they can check off that box. Charlie Bertrand. Fourth of the game to push it to 16-4.
It's just execution by this Merrimack team with the EMO. Bertrand, Stenberg, they have shown the ability to sling it with high heat. That is a beautiful shot. And the placement. I mean, these guys are just pinging corners, stinging the upper 90. Beautiful job, great rotation, solid execution by this Merrimack extra man offensive unit.
Sometimes you get very fortunate in recruiting, and you have to also be relentless out there. A mix of both for Mike Morgan. Charlie Bertrand starred at Baldwinsville, which is a high school power in the Syracuse region of New York. Rick Beardsley's there, longtime coach. Called Mike Morgan saying he's got a kid for him. He called him back, looked at the film. Rick said, there's no problems. For some reason, no one has really jumped in on him at the Division I level. And Charlie wanted engineering, was getting only about mid-level Division I teams. No one was really hot on his case, and he committed in the middle of the summer before his junior year. And they were shocked that a huge attackman from a hotbed like that wasn't getting top 10, top 15 interest.
It works out that way sometimes. There's only so many spots. And now with the early recruiting being done for, I think we're going to see a lot more accurate recruiting and opportunity. This is getting ugly.
Yep,
That's
several
just
flags
that
coming
is
out,
that is disgusting. Number 12, Julian Taylor for St. Leo should be ejected from this game. That is absolutely, positively uncalled for.
That was not a good scene. The first flag was out, and unfortunately, Julian Taylor lost his cool.
That is an objectionable sequence of checks. A man is on the ground, helpless, and it's a Paul Bunyan job. It's uncalled for, it's unnecessary. There's no place for it in the sport.
Fortunately for this game, nothing further came from it. So
There were
a pair of 1-minute calls.
And quite honestly, I think Julian Taylor is lucky that that's all that those calls were.
I'll take it further, Mark. I think beyond lucky that there isn't at least a 3-minute non-releasable.
I would agree wholeheartedly. And I think there's 2 green jerseys in the box. So I think we might have 2 separate fouls. And if there's only one on Taylor, wow.
Number 12, Julian Taylor, 1 minute for a cross check. Number 21, Ethan Enticers, 1 minute for roughing. Time and penalties.
Yep, and that is it. And Mark, frankly, I'm surprised. 1 minute each.
Yeah. I mean, look, no one likes to get beat this bad and to have nothing go right, especially in a national championship game, but you've got to keep your composure. You've got to respect the game. You've got to respect your opponent. And quite honestly, you're watching the same game I am. I don't see Merrimack cheaping guys. I don't see them taking liberties. Who knows what's being said, if anything, if there's chirping going on, but it just really disturbs me to see activity like that.
Trask with a couple of shots on this 6-on-4 man up. Christian Thomas to look to tarry in the save.
He's been solid all game long. He's faced so many shots, and there's a reason why he's a second-team All-American, and we're seeing it.
Might have just made another one as it caromed off, and he made definitely another one on O'Connell in tight.
He is fun to watch, no question. 32 in green is a stud.
And he might have just bothered that shot by O'Connell. A redshirt junior from Long Island is certainly going to be a foundation piece for St. Leo moving into next year.
Love his reflexes, his ability to track balls and then react quickly when rebounds occur or redirects happen.
We're all even. O'Connell that could not get through, and a ground ball here for St. Leo. They've scored 3 goals in the quarter.
And it's Vicentin. He's impressed me, especially here in the third quarter with his hustle and his determination.
Room and time, and that one airmailed by the D-Mini Prischel.
And speaking as an official, games like this are 100 times harder to officiate than a close, tight game. Because a close, tight game, teams don't want to make mistakes. They're going to be physical. They're going to be aggressive. And you want to make the right calls. But when it gets out of hand like this, that's when you have the extracurriculars that you have to watch behind the play. And I thought the referees are doing a good job. They got Gilmore on the interference call behind the play. And then they got Taylor and his teammate with the cross checks and that type of thing. But this is a very difficult situation to be in for referees.
Vicentin stopped him at the doorstep on the other end by Peter Brown.
That was a nice save by Brown as well. Hugged his pipe. Didn't give up any glimmer to shoot at. Well played.
But to your point, Mark, that's also where the line can be drawn to prevent anything further while at that juncture, because we still have so much time to go, and you don't want one play or one skirmish to lead to a second one.
You just don't want anybody to get hurt. And, you know, what we saw a few minutes ago, that you could really hurt somebody. I mean, you could really physically hurt somebody in those situations.
1 minute remaining in the quarter.
Each team has 3 goals in the third quarter. For Merrimack, Dom Thomas in tight, and make that 4 for Merrimack. Christian Thomas, well, he is throwing his hat in the ring for most outstanding player. There's several Warriors that have a good argument.
Just great ball movement once again by Merrimack. Nice individual effort on the dodge from Dom Thomas, and he gets it inside to Christian Thomas right on the doorstep. Nice finish. And we've got flags down. We've got flags down again right at midfield. And it's an unsportsmanlike on St. Leo's, full-time non-releasable, dead ball, and there's no face-off. So the referees they've had it. They've had it. They're not putting up with it anymore. I'm not sure. I saw what could have been a late hit, but I think it was within the spirit of the play. So I have to imagine something was said or something was done after the whistle on the way back to the face-off dot.
47 seconds. Christian Thomas's third goal in 35th.
8 points for Christian Thomas. 3 goals and 5 assists. And he remains out there on this man up, on this unsportsmanlike, to close out the third quarter. And the Thomas brothers able to connect on a goal. It's the latest box to check off. Inside, Stenberg just missed, but it's returned inside to O'Connell, unselfishly from Sean Black. Second of the game for Michael O'Connell.
Well, credit Tertarian. Looked like he got a piece of the first shot off of a cut, but the rebound he's not able to catch up to. And this penalty still has time left on it because it was a non-releasable. Nice feed inside. Good save initially by Tertarian, but then the rebound is put back behind him, and Merrimack continues to click at a high level.
First man-up goal for Merrimack. 18 goals on 43 shots. Blake Boudreau here in the face-off X set a tone after missing or not winning the first 2 cleanly. St. Leo was able to dig out the first 2. But after that, over the next 10 to 12 face-offs, he started to assert himself, and that just fueled Merrimack. They went on to score 6 times in the opening quarter, 7 more in the second. They jumped out 7-0 before St. Leo had an answer. And we're going to go to the fourth quarter with Merrimack wondering how they're going to finish this one off. The celebration is not far away. Merrimack 18-4 over St. Leo's in the Division II National Championship game with a fourth quarter non-releasable man up as that shot by Trask is off the stick of Tatarian.
Yeah, Merrimack got possession because they had possession at the end of the third quarter, and with the man up, no face-off. And look at Vicentin, man. This kid has really impressed me. Just a tremendous heart, tremendous determination. He's played so hard here in the second half.
Steps into the shot and bounces it wide of Brown. In case you're wondering, there is no running time in the NCAA tournament. Here 18-4. Has a good trail check. Really pulled off there by Eric Coburn. Fine number 1 pole for Merrimack. Then Gilmore with a shot off net. Well, Merrimack, they've done this in the NCAA tournament through two games and 3 quarters, Mark. They have outscored NCAA competition 68-19. They came in at 40-15.
You look at their body of work. I mean, you look at their regular season. New York Institute of Technology, a 2-goal win. Then they lose to Lemoyne by 3. They beat Bentley by 4. They beat Assumption by 5. They squeaked by Adelphi by 1. Then they beat the Panthers by 6 in the rematch. Those are their close games. Their closest game is a 2-goal affair that happened on February the 18th, excluding the loss to Lemoyne. So they have blowtorch teams this season.
Coburn was thinking about the step down, but it was checked away, and good work there by Jake Bai for St. Leo playing in his final collegiate game. Coburn, nice little flip there to get it to Black that draws oohs and ahs. Thomas in tight Schmel, and he gets involved. Another nice capper for Merrimack as the super two-way midi gets a goal.
Just a tattered play at midfield. Coburn with the flip, and then the unselfishness. We've seen it all game long. The one more by Merrimack, and Tartarian just left helpless. But you got to give a lot of credit to Hunter Schmel, a guy who does a lot of dirty work, plays great defense, gets ground balls, clears the rock. Being able to score in a national championship game, that's quite a thrill for number 7.
Again, don't call him a D-midi, but he
I
is
know.
officially.
I just said he played good defense. Yeah. I don't want to insult him.
But he is officially, according to the name of the award, the short stick defensive midi of the year and a first-team All-American.
So wait a minute, Division II called him a short stick D-midi,
yes.
but I can't call him a short stick D-midi?
And Mike Morgan
I get
sure
it.
as heck can.
All right, I understand.
But as Mike described, that he was an attackman as a sophomore when he transferred in from Stevenson, but his shot wasn't accurate. Once he got to be a two-way midi and embraced it, that changed their culture. A transcendent player that feeds now off of defending you, but has terrific speed and being a weapon in the transition game to create for the players that finish.
There's no denying his athletic ability. He is a gazelle, tall, lean. Love how he moves his feet on defense too. A lot of guys rely on the cross check or stick checks, and they play with their stick more than their feet. Not Schmel.
Christian Thomas just added his 6th assist on the goal.
That's a lot of assists.
Mm-hmm. And for Merrimack to put up the 24 goals against a quality program like New York Tech, they won that one 24-6 in the quarterfinals. That was eye-opening.
Sure.
And now I think we can see in person what they're really capable of. And that was not a fluke.
Not at all. And this is a St. Leo's team that, you look at their schedule, it's interesting. Alabama Huntsville, you mentioned, played in snow. An 18-10 win there. They lost to Mount Olive 9-12. They lost to Tampa the first time around 8-6. Yeah, but then they beat Tampa.
A shot wide. Yep, their loss to Tampa they avenged. That was in the Sunshine State Conference tournament final.
Yeah.
Before they got him back in overtime in the quarterfinals with a timeout called here by Merrimack. And we'll see if maybe we'll get some changes in subs here. Still a lot of time left in the fourth quarter. But St. Leo has a victory over New York Tech. And I think a lot of people will maybe point to, well, the South is just not strong yet. But St. Leo was able to beat a program, a well-established program like New York Tech. And to build from here, the balance of, of course, you're going to want to play the teams in your region.
Yep.
But then for St. Leo and the other programs out there, how much do they need to tap their toes into the northern NE10 waters, and how necessary is it for them to compete at this very high stage down the road?
I think it's difficult because when you talk about Division II, it's such an unusual animal. First of all, you have budgetary restraints, so travel becomes an issue. So you've got to, raise some dough, basically, in order to do those kinds of things for the athletic program. But I think when you look at Division II lacrosse, how it's grown, it used to be you picked 2 teams to compete for the national championship, a northern champion and a southern champion, and that was it. The fact that there is an actual tournament featuring 8 teams, I think that's terrific. I think it's really, really terrific. And you just got to try to, being in the state of Maryland and being familiar with the Baltimore high school scene and my son playing in the MIAA, they come calling. The Southern Division II teams come calling in the MIAA, and they're getting players to go down to Florida Tech and Tampa and Lenore-Rhine and those types of programs. So they are trying to build and not just talk about a lacrosse experience, but talk about an overall college experience in those Southern Division II schools.
And there's great news on that front because the men's and women's tournaments in Division II will expand next year. This year it's an 8-team bracket. That'll be the last year of it. Next year it will be 12 teams. The women's bracket goes from an incredible 12 to 16 teams next year. There are 72 Division II men's lacrosse teams competing this year. And the 8 to 12 is the first expansion since it went from 4 to 8 in 2013. So, and many of those are Southern programs. A dodge down the alley. And a goal for St. Leo. That's Philip Bouquet. Make that, it's actually 8 on the goal. CJ Stoll.
Nice
Stoll,
dodge.
the sophomore.
Real nice dodge by Stoll. Is able to get ahead of steam down the left alley out of the Merrimack timeout. So Merrimack called that timeout to maybe set some things up defensively. But you got to give a lot of credit to CJ Stoll, sophomore out of Arlington, Virginia. Gets his national championship goal. Maybe could have more coming with 11.5 minutes left in this game.
He played for the Ray brothers at St. Joe's, PA last year as a transfer from Philly. Devin and Taylor Ray.
And that's another way you build programs. You grab transfers. You know, you get kids that maybe made a choice to go to a school and they're not fitting in, whether it's academically, socially, athletically. Maybe they want to change in lifestyle. Playing college lacrosse, and particularly at the Division I level, is a full-time job. And sometimes when guys get to school, and in this day and age of youth lacrosse and club lacrosse, these guys have been playing pretty much year-round since the age of maybe 8 or 9 years old. Maybe when they get to college, they're like, you know what? I'm not going to do this forever. Maybe I want to take a step back and go to a place that I can compete at a high level, but just maybe a notch below where I am right now, and also have the ability and the time to do other things.
Brown out of goal. Loses it. It might be an easy one. The feed in tight, and Gilmore does get it from Powell's. Brown had nowhere to go, and it's 19-6.
Brown living dangerously, coming out of his cage, trying to make a play, lost the handle, and then the attack for St. Leo's continues to push and compete. Brown was able to get back into the net, but not until Powell's picks it up, slots it to Gilmore, and Gilmore's able to slide it past Brown. So I like what I've seen out of the last couple minutes of this St. Leo's team. I think players like Vicentin have inspired his teammates to compete, forget about all the nonsense, and just try to make plays. And you got to tip your cap to St. Leo's over the last couple of minutes.
2 goals and an assist for Jake Gilmore, and Powell's with 1 and 2. Both playing in their final games. Jordan Williams. And Williams with a face-off win. Dad also runs the Lacrosse Club of Orlando, and like you, Mark, is also a certified NCAA official. Tony
How about
Williams.
that? Good for him. We need more.
Especially when you're a face-off guy, I think it's great to know all the ins and outs in terms of procedure and the subtleties.
Oh, those face-off guys, they're a fun breed, that's for sure. Always trying to butter you up. But the face-off is so difficult to defend. There's a cross-check to the back of the head. So difficult to officiate because guys are always trying to outsmart you, outthink you, and it's become big business with face-off specialists, face-off academies, and schools and instructional type of things. It's a huge part of this game.
We'll check on the flag as the shot missed. Against Thomas Tatarian, still in there for St. Leo's. He's made 12 saves. This is a week after he made 16, facing 59 shots at Lenoir-Rhyne in the semifinal. He's been consistently in double digits, and he had to make a career-high 24 saves February 25th as we have another non-releasable foul against St. Leo.
And Merrimack has made a goalie change. You can hear the roar of the crowd from the Warrior faithful, giving it up for their starter, number 41, Peter Brown, checks out of the contest. Replaced by Mitch Green, number 15.
And meanwhile, you just saw Connor Narsberg in the box for the 1-minute non-releasable. So Green is in there. He and Peter Brown were two of the components in a three-man battle to win the goaltending job in the early season. Fourth man up for Merrimack, and 1 for 3. Skip past Thomas, gave it up. O'Connell, series of fakes, and finishes. Well, Tatarian looked like he had a beat on it, but O'Connell had plenty of time for his third.
O'Connell's a big body, 6'3", 205. He's got a high point of release. Just threw a couple stick fakes in there. Was able to get Tatarian moved, and he slots it by the St. Leo goalie for the Merrimack's 20th score of the afternoon.
Christian Thomas, yet another assist with 7, as he is approaching some NCAA championship game records territory. And O'Connell with yet another hat trick. So Merrimack has hit 20. And that's significant in Division II history. The last time that a team hit 20 was that 1980 UMBC team, coached by Dick Watts. But that was a shootout at UMBC, 23-14 the final against Adelphi. And only one other time has it happened. Previous to that, 1977 Hobart over Washington College.
Grew up watching UMBC lacrosse. Grew up in Catonsville, Maryland. The battles when the Retrievers were in Division II. Players like Marty Cloud and Dave Quattrini. Adelphi were the men in black when they used to come to UMBC Stadium and take on the Retrievers.
Black again. Penalty has expired. Still 8:35 to go. Merrimack opened up a 6-0 lead at the end of one, and they've never looked back. Black turns, shoots, and just past the shoulder of Tatarian. And the last several D2 National Championship games were very good games, down to the wire. We haven't had one like this, a lopsided one. Might go back to maybe 2008, New York Tech against Lemoyne, but even that scoring was done very late. And we are also kind of in that territory of we could reach the largest margin of victory in a D2 final.
Another flag flies. This one's going to be against Merrimack.
Taylor leads. Gilmore, tough pickup. Visentin is able to haul the pass down. Then on the cut, Gilmore, good look, but never got through. On Green, the new goalie. And here in the pickup, Merrimack finally has it with Ryan Burke. And now we check on the flag. St. Leo's had those early chances, and while they may not have mattered in the grand scheme of things, but as you look back, for St. Leo during those first 2 possessions, they had the ball. They look glaring now. What was Merrimack able to do against them just to prevent them from maybe getting that first or second goal at that juncture that that could have given them some confidence that they could have used.
I thought that Hunter Schmel played incredibly well on the one-on-ones. Didn't really give up a whole lot to shorty matchups, and Peter Brown made a couple of saves, one save, but I think more importantly, St. Leo's just didn't put the ball in cage. So they won the first face-off of the game. They got some nice plays early in the contest, but man, that seems like a lifetime ago when St. Leo's had an opportunity to get out to a lead.
Green able to make the save there. Should the score hold up, it will be the largest margin of victory in a Division II national championship game as we sit here with a 14-goal margin as the rain starts to fall slightly when I could tell. Ground ball, James Bassett. First team All-American, has been quiet today. First team All-ND10 and last year's Defensive Player of the Year. He's done his job playing in his finale, and a real student of the game. Mike Morgan couldn't say enough about him. And
Referee Matt Palem couldn't get his flag out of his pocket.
Now we get the touch-up and another flag against St. Leo's.
It's going to be a hold call against the Lions.
Man up number 5 coming. Matt Palem's had a busy day. Too busy.
His whole crew has had a busy day.
This time Visinton, who has played very hard in his final game as a St. Leo Lion. But the state of Florida has reached a national championship game in men's college lacrosse. St. Leo's was the first program in 2006. Since then, many other programs, U Tampa, Florida Tech, and others, Palm Beach Atlantic, just started. They've got their own conference. There's Trask from the outside. Jack Trask, his big shot has been on display today. There's his third.
And all three have been with the same shooting motion. A whip shot, low to low with that big right hand. Same spot too. Probably, 12, 14 yards in front of the cage. He has good range, puts good pace on the shot, and gets a hat trick.
Man up goal, third of the game for Merrimack. What a finale for these Merrimack seniors. They've all played well. Trask from Colorado Springs emailed Mike Morgan his video. And then coming back from those 2 serious injuries and how important this was to him to A, be healthy, and B, step on the field and play well. And it's truly come full circle individually for him. Another face-off win. Boudreau is out of there. Second face-off man, Davis Cronin, a freshman from Boston, comes up with it for Merrimack.
Here we can see Merrimack now going into their bench. A couple new faces into the contest for the Warriors.
They also sub on redshirt freshman Andrew Johnson here in the midfield. As I started to say, the state of Florida and the South has started to make inroads. You have the Sunshine State Conference. Florida Southern women have been to 3 consecutive D2 national championship games, including winning one in 2016 where they defeated Adelphi in Denver. So there's been progress made.
Yeah, and let's not forget Limestone. They've won several national titles. But as you push further south, you can see the growth of the game. And you got a lot of transplants, guys that are from the Northeast heading down to the Sunshine State and establishing roots and leading the way in terms of lacrosse expansion and lacrosse instruction.
St. Leo has 11 Floridians on the roster, but it's not just them. The UNC women have a Floridian. They were in the national semifinals. 2 Floridians on the Salisbury team that we just saw earlier today lose to Wesleyan. And today is also a day for first-timers. Congratulations to the JMU women.
Yeah.
As they
knocked
defeated
off Boston College.
Boston College by a goal at Stony Brook to win that program's first ever title. And Merrimack is 4 minutes away from loudly proclaiming their first.
Well, maybe the best Floridian lacrosse players, the Bernhardt brothers. You got Jake Bernhardt,
Yep.
Jesse Bernhardt, Jared Bernhardt, sophomore at the University of Maryland. The Terrapins losing yesterday to Duke in the national semifinals, but sport has really taken off.
And many of the coaches, Doug Shanahan, former Hofstra star, has been a long-time coach in Florida. And, of course, many of the Snowbirds that go down to retire there. Hall of Fame New York State coach Joe Cuso.
Sure.
From Ward Melville. He's been coaching down there. Good feed down to the crease. Kyle Powells couldn't stuff it, and he stepped in. So Merrimack will take it back. Michael O'Connell still in the field. There's a shot. It's 22. A Long Islander, Tyler Lee Antonio. He steps into one to add his name to the box score.
Good rep by Lee Antonio. You could tell what he was going to do with the pill once he got it in his stick. Steps in, fires, high to high. Faked a little bit low. As you can see, Tartarian guessed. And then top shelf is the delivery. Just complete domination in this game by the Merrimack Warriors.
O'Connell on the dish, just the second of the season for Lee Antonio. He's out of Locust Valley, New York on the islands, where he played for a couple of All-Americans, Matt McFarland, former UMass defenseman, and Keith Cromwell, longtime Major League lacrosser out of Rutgers.
Rutgers, one of Rutgers' finest.
Coburn picks up another ground ball. And some of these Merrimack seniors don't want to leave the field. There's a shot and a stop made by Tatarian on grad student Paul Spinney. Spinney coming over from UMass, where he saw some good time playing for Greg Cannella. And decided to use his last year of eligibility. It was actually Mitch Green, who's in goal now, and Eric Coburn just shooting around with him over the summer in Massachusetts. And they sold him on getting a master's, and he's been a valuable player as a second-line midi. Another look from the wing, and the shot missed as Stenberg was bidding for another.
A little surprised to see number 29, Sean Black, still in this game. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, 3 goals, 4 assists, and this game has been long put to bed. Spinney, and there's another look. That's Jack Trask. Perhaps the final goal of his career. The second-team All-American is going to ride off into the sunset.
They still got 1:55 left, Ralph. I don't know. The way Trask has been shooting the ball here tonight and the approach by this Merrimack offense, that delivery again, you know where it's coming from. But this time he changes it up. Instead of keeping it low to low, he goes low to high. Nice placement. Good shot. Merrimack 1:55 away from their first men's Division II lacrosse championship.
Spinney on the assist.
Merrimack goal scored by number 12, Jack Trask.
Hugs all around. He had 2 big goals last weekend against Seton Hill in the semifinals that helped Merrimack get through the middle portion of that game before they ran away with it with a 7-goal win. And the Warriors, when you look back at this season, someday, and what they did, really tells you the quality of the NE10, because they had to really play in several of their NE10 games, like the final against St. Anselm, 11-7 there. Against Adelphi, they won it 17-11. in the semis before, but they had a 1-goal win over Delphi in the regular season. And it shows you how good Lemoyne may have been this season.
Sure.
And Coach Sheehan, I'm sure, still probably wondering what could have been. They fell in the quarterfinals, actually. They had consecutive losses this season. But Lemoyne will have the only victory over Merrimack in 2018.
Yeah, Lemoyne lost to Seton Hill 14-10. And then, of course, Merrimack was able to get by Seton Hill 16-9 in the semis.
But it just sets up another storyline for next year.
There you go.
About the revenge tour for Lemoyne. Will they come back to this stage? As we are inside the final minute, and the Merrimack fans that have had a lot to cheer about today. But they're going to have plenty of energy to cheer once they see the trophy. And once they start to see some of the records they have set, it is going to be the largest margin of victory in any Division II national championship game. Previous high was 9, and they do it here by 4. Now check that, my math is way off. They do it by 17. There hasn't been a championship game at any level with this kind of disparity. Merrimack runs completely away from St. Leo to their first national championship. 23-6. A year later, Merrimack returns. They didn't leave anything to chance.
And it wasn't even close. I mean, just an exclamation point on a fine season from the Merrimack Warriors. They'll finish 18-1. And if you just look at their run through the playoffs, 24-6, 16-9, and now 23-6. That is pretty impressive for the Division II national champion Merrimack Warriors.
63-21 was their scoring margin in 3 NCAA tournament games. Coming out of the North bracket, we should add, too. And the Warriors were just that. They were 1 goal off of the most they had scored in the game, which was their New York Tech blowout of 24. Who will be the most outstanding player? I'm not sure if it really matters.
I'm telling you, there's a lot to choose from. This is a nice scene, though. You see Merrimack celebrating as a team and now going over to their fans and student section and joining them in the celebration.
Christian Thomas had 10 points, 3 goals, and 7 assists. Charlie Bertrand was special, particularly when the game was still in the balance. A couple of his first half goals that were demoralizing ones. And St. Leo, perhaps they will look at this as a footnote to future success. St. Leo finishes at 16-3. So that'll do it for our entire crew here. Our thanks to our producer and director here, who has kept us all entertained and on the air, Haley Zedek. For my partner, Mark Dixon, my name is Ralph Bednarczyk, reminding you can watch a full archive of this game and all of our coverage of the NCAA Division II and Division III Men's Lacrosse Championships later on NCAA.com, as well as our highlights, which will be available later on today. We will keep it here for the trophy presentation as Merrimack continues to celebrate their first national championship. Until then, we say goodbye on NCAA.com.